Now, I'm able to do this really quickly because unlike the guidelines which are associated with a resume, for a cover letter, there's straight rules. Your cover letter must be one page. It must be in a business letter format. It's not a love letter. This is a very formal letter. In the first paragraph, and we're going to have about 4 paragraphs, the first paragraph, you state the purpose of the letter. And we'll look at how to do that in a minute. Paragraphs 2 and 3 are the important bits. This is the guts of the letter where you have to point out that you're worth them taking more time to look at. Because if they don't like your cover letter, they're not even going to get to your resume. They're going to be giving you, they're going to be bypassing you. So picking out the best things that you present to an employer and making sure that it addresses the things that they want in their advertisement are important parts of the cover letter. So let's have a look how we go about doing that. I said it's got to be a business letter format, and this is what the format looks like. It has your address, your email address and your phone number, top left corner. It'll have the date of the letter. And a couple of spaces under that, it will have the employer's name and contact details. If it's by email, it'll be their email address. We'll have dear, and then the best thing is their name. If you can go to the trouble of working out the person's name, it personalises it. If they see their name there, they'll take more attention to it. It's more powerful than Sir, Madam, or Dear Human Resources Manager. So if you can find out the name of the person you're writing to, use it. Paragraph 1, we then need to go for the purpose of the letter. And we're going to look at each of these paragraphs in the next couple of slides. Paragraphs 2 and 3, your main points of difference. Paragraph 4 will refer to attachments that you've got, and then we sign off, and I'll come back to those. So paragraph 1, and again, I'll give you an exercise of fill in the blanks. You don't have to use, I don't recommend that you use this terminology. Use your own words. But to get started, fill in the blanks. I wish to apply for the position of, and it might be a number, it might be a name, whatever, advertised and when it was advertised, and where you saw it. So you can make that a little bit more detailed. So again, homework, write your own paragraph. But what are you writing? The purpose of the letter, applying for the job. Biggest mistake that I see, students go into a history lesson. I've always wanted to be such and such ever since such and such, without actually getting to the purpose of why they're writing. So make sure that it's very upfront, state the purpose of the letter straight away. Paragraph 2, these are the important ones. These are the ones about what you bring to the position. So maybe you bring to the position, you can talk about the skills. I bring to this position 5 years experience working with youth and young people, going through 4 different work placements. So in other words, you're referring to experiences you've had and then entries in your resume. You don't repeat everything that's on your resume. You're giving them a small bit of information so that they will encourage them to go for more detail in the resume. So in a way, your opening letter, your cover letter, has to be written in a style which encourages them to seek more detail. So have a go at filling in that exercise. Paragraph 3 is a good way to demonstrate that what you know about this position. Why are you attracted to it? Where is your passion for this industry? And I've used the filling in the blanks system to try to get you started. But have a go at doing that in your own words. Your final paragraph, paragraph 4, I like seeing the words thank you. Thank you for considering this application. Thank you for presenting this opportunity. Thank you for your time, whatever. Then you can refer to when you're available for interview. You can refer to the resume that's attached. You might repeat your contact details, that you're best contacted on email or your phone number. And then just a little point about signing off. You always sign off yours faithfully for a business letter unless you've used a person's name at the top. And again, if you use the person's name at the top, you would sign off with yours sincerely. Very small thing, but it's an etiquette thing in writing. A little bit old school, but then I'm old, so I'm allowed to do that. But it's one that a lot of employers like that.
Student named MacBook is asking, can we put the name and the country of the language you speak?
So
can we put the name and the country of the language we speak? Student can just ask themselves.
Just under languages, put the name of the language. It doesn't have to be relevant to the country. If the language is relevant to the employer, they'll know where it's come from. So just the name of the language, and then a little bit of detail about your level of proficiency in both oral and written form.
Right. Next one is, how long should the resume be, as there are a lot of subheadings?
Yeah. Your resume is usually for a graduate, about 3 pages. But don't get hung up on that. Your resume is about relevance. For people that have got a lot of work, a lot of employment experience, 3 pages is not going to be enough, and lots of it is going to be relevant. So this is why I suggest having a main copy of the resume on your desktop where you've got everything in it, and then you go back and you prune out the irrelevant stuff for each application. So don't get hung up about trying to keep it to 1 page or whatever. Unless an employer has specifically said there is a limit to the size of the resume, don't get worried about that. As long as it's relevant, length doesn't matter.
Yep. Next one is Sarishma Dalal is asking, do we need to prepare a cover letter for applying new grad positions?
For new grad positions, most applications are now online. So some online applications allow you to attach your application to an email. In that case, the email will be the cover letter. But if it's a new grad position, for example, education or nursing, they don't require a cover letter.
Right. Next one is Ellen is asking, can you give her an advice on writing an expression of interest, and how does it differ to cover letter?
Right. Yeah, an expression of interest must make sure that it covers which details your passion for the industry. I guess that's the most important thing, but also covers the selection criteria, which would be part of the advertisement that was out there. So the workshop addressing the selection criteria would probably be more relevant than the resume one. The resume will support your expression of interest, but it doesn't replace it.
Right, the next one is from Maritza, and she's asking, she hasn't worked in last 5 years, and does she need to address that in the resume as under unemployment?
If there is when she just say she hasn't worked for 5 years, I mean, I don't know the student's position, but some people, for example, that are returning to the workforce, put down a gap in the workforce. They might talk about family duties or raising children or something like that. And I have seen very good resumes that have included, for want of a better term, domestic duties as a job, and then out detailed the sorts of things that they've been involved in, which are great ways to show time management, multitasking, and don't think that being out of the workforce means you're not building employability skills. So show what you've done in that time, and then use that. You can use that as examples to show employability skills. But if you've never worked at all, my advice would be start some voluntary work and try and get a part-time job, because when it comes to competition for new graduate jobs, employers love experience. They love students that have been able to get some experience. It doesn't have to be in the industry that you've worked in. Ideally, that would be good, but getting some experience somewhere so that you've got you can transfer employability skills from one job to another.
Right. Next one is from Mario, and he's asking, what do you think of Abintegro Resume CV Builder tool in Career Hub portal?
Okay. We use the Abintegro as a way of trying to make it as easy as possible for students to get on the right step. So what do I think of it? It's a great entry point, but it's not an exit point. It's a way to get you started on your resume, but it's not the exit point for a finished resume. So again, we're using Abintegro, and we're using 365 as a way of getting very, very quick resume reviews. But it is artificial intelligence. It's not a human being, and you're actually so use that as a starting point, not as a finish point. So I hope that these slides will complement what Abintegro have got there. That's why we picked that program, but use it as a starting point.
And the last question is from Manoj, and he's asking whom do the student address to in the cover letter if there is no name of the hiring manager?
Yeah, you can use matter. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you don't know who it is, you can either use the position title, dear human resources manager, dear recruitment consultant, whatever it happens to be, or you can use dear Sir, Madam. Just at the bottom of the letter, you would sign it off yours faithfully.